The Democrat Sherrod Brown of Ohio has been one of the lawmakers pushing hardest for Congress to get tough on Wall Street. He joins me now here in our studio. Thanks very much for the time. Appreciate it. How confident are you, member of the Banking Committee, you've been through all these fights already, how confident are you at the end of the day this conference committee is going to come out with a product that is indeed tough on Wall Street, something you can support?
I don't know yet. I mean, I think the bill the Senate passed was good. I believe too big to fail is too big. And I was disappointed that we didn't deal with the issue of just the size of the banks in addition to risk. But I don't want to see this bill further compromised on a whole host of issues. The Volcker rule, the Merkley-Levin.
Are you worried that it is going to be watered down? Because the Volcker rule is up for discussion this week.
I'm concerned. The discussions apparently will wrap up this week, early next week at the latest. We want to vote on it the following week before leaving town. But it's unclear to me what they're going to do with the Merkley-Levin language, the Volcker rule. I don't want to see it obviously needs to be part of the bill. I don't want to see too many carve-outs. I'm concerned about what happens with derivatives. I want to see these. I mean, I look at what got us into this, and are we answering all the questions of increased risk that many of these Wall Street firms engaged in without the proper kinds of safeguards?
As you sit here right now, are you confident that the Lincoln language on derivatives that would force banks to spin off, for example, their derivative trading desks, that is going to remain in the bill at the end of the day?
I'm not confident of that. I don't know. I think it's got a better chance of remaining than it did a week ago. I think that Senator Lincoln has played it right in the conference committee and her public statements, but I think it's still very much up for grabs.
If it's out of the bill, would they potentially lose Sherrod Brown's vote?
They could lose my vote if that happens and a couple of other things happen. I want to make sure that we do Merkley-Levin, the Volcker language right. I want to see the consumer language right. I want them and the derivatives issues. All those are important to me.
All right, let me switch gears because you've been very active on another front. That's dealing with China. You've been critical of China over its trade and currency practices. The move over the weekend from the Chinese announcing that they will allow their currency to appreciate. You have not been impressed with that so far. What does that do to your threat of legislation aimed at China?
Well, the first thing they did was say it'll be allowed to appreciate. Then the next day they said, well, not so much. And the first day wasn't all that much to begin with. So, I mean, China's great at gaming the trade of the system. I mean, they'd send a third of their exports to the United States. We're their biggest customer. We don't, as their biggest customer, extract the kinds of fair play concessions that we should get from them. Our legislation on dealing with currency will move forward. I have too many manufacturers in my state and too many workers whose companies and whose jobs are threatened because of China gaining the system. The first president in a long time, made two strong decisions on enforcing trade rules. One meant jobs in Findlay, Ohio. One meant hundreds of jobs in Mahoning Valley in the Youngstown area because the President of the United States enforced trade laws. We urge him to keep doing that. We especially want him to the Commerce Department to continue on a paper case they're looking at. They're examining in terms of currency. These are real jobs. These aren't.
The administration has been openly skeptical about some of the legislation proposed in Congress, including yours. Are you prepared to have a public fight with your own president over this issue?
I had a very public fight with President Clinton on the North American Free Trade Agreement and PNTR with China. I think he was wrong on both. I think the ensuing years have shown he was wrong on both. I think this president's been better on trade than any president yet, but I don't want him just to check the box and say, okay, they didn't manipulate their currency because they let it float, because they haven't let it float much, and what are they going to do in the next few years?
Senator Sherrod Brown, Democrat of Ohio, as always, appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here on Bloomberg.